Star Ocean 2 has seemingly been missing on handhelds for a while now. It got a PSP remake with Second Evolution that never got a digital release, meaning the Vita couldn't play it. It did get ported to the Vita and PS4 natively, but that never left Japan, leaving it kind of stranded. We didn't even get it after First Departure came out on the Switch. But it was only a matter of time. Kind of a remake of a remake, it has been brought back to virtually all platforms, overhauling a ton of features, adding a lot of new quality of life things to make it less dated, and essentially just creating a definitive experience. Here is my review of Star Ocean: The Second Story R for the Nintendo Switch. The story takes place on the world of Expel. Ever since the strange sorcery globe crashed onto the planet, monsters and catastrophes have been on the rise. You play as either Claude, a man stranded in an unfamiliar world, or Raina Lanford, a magic-wielding girl that is saved by Claude and mistakes him for a hero of legend. The two then travel together to investigate the sorcery globe and put a stop to it. In terms of story, it's pretty good. It does get a little tropey at times with the relationship between Raina and Claude around the halfway point, but it falls right in line with a lot of anime-type stories, especially considered this game did receive an anime adaptation. A lot of the characters are fun, and they all have interesting developments when all of the crazy twists happen later on in the story. When it comes to gameplay, this is a kind of 2D and 3D action RPG. As you play, you'll run around towns and overworld and fight lots of enemies in arena-style real-time combat. Now first, let's talk about the differences. This is the second remake of Star Ocean 2, and it has a lot new, even past what Second Evolution did on the PSP. The visuals were completely overhauled, giving us gorgeous 3D environments while retaining the old 2D sprites, but we also have many quality of life features, like active fast travel, movement is now running by default instead of having to hold a button, it's easier to upgrade skills, and the recruitment system is a lot more user-friendly, giving you access to special events that used to be exclusive to private action mode in the main mode if players don't think about changing for those missable events. Though the one addition I find the most intriguing is the Assault Command. Part of the combat system, but you can actually unlock pretty much all of the other Star Ocean protagonists to summon into battle for little assist attacks, all the way up to Star Ocean 6. But that goes into combat features, which we will get into a bit later. When you start up the game, you can choose to play through it as either Claude or Raina. Technically, you can control anyone in any playthrough, but it's kind of the story from that character's perspective. If you're playing as Raina, many Claude events that talk about his origin will be muted out for you, having the player see him talking to someone secretly, making you only aware of what Raina is aware of. And now for main progression. Star Ocean 2 is very much in the vein of classic JRPGs. The story drives you forward, pointing you to new towns and dungeons you explore an overworld to find. There is a certain level of openness and freedom that is very reminiscent of Squaresoft's PS1 RPGs, where you can visit towns and dungeons you aren't supposed to yet, but it's more for towns and shops, as pretty much all the dungeons that the story sends you to later will be blocked off until the story tells you you can go there. But there is a lot of freedom in the recruitable party member system. This remake contains all original recruitable characters, as well as the Second Evolution exclusive of Welch, the Star Ocean series cameo character that appears in every game of the series. But there's a catch. All of these characters are optional and you can't choose all of them. Some of them can easily be missed if you don't do the right event at the right points of the story, but there are 8 character slots and more than 8 characters. Essentially having you choose what party you want, or if you want to go real crazy and make it a little bit harder, you can choose to recruit none of them and have only Claude and Raina in your party from start to finish. And that brings us to combat. As much as some people don't like the comparison, Star Ocean 2 feels very similar to the Tales of series. You're thrown into a 3D arena, have free roam around the map, and can do simple combos with skills and magic that you can initiate and cast. It isn't as fluid with normal attacks comboing into your skills, but it does feel oddly similar. This system also helps when you need to grind for levels, as you can control Raina as the support character passively healing while the AI takes out the enemies and you get the experience. And as you level up, you get points for upgrading skills. There are not only battle skills, but a ton of passives like increasing stats, giving you random chances for dozens of battle effects like ignoring defense or teleporting behind the enemy, and giving you crafting abilities to create items, potions, and other useful things. And the crafting system goes into the difficulty. There are a lot of people out there that say this game is too easy, and it isn't, at least if you don't know what you're doing. There are many points where you're going to need to grind for levels and points to keep up with the bosses or even the normal enemies. But like many RPGs, if you know how to break the system, you can turn it into a breeze. For example, you can use crafting to make goodie boxes as early as the first continent of the game, giving you RNG chances to get pretty much any equipment you want, including massively powerful weapons for any character, shooting their attack and magic stats up so far that you won't get a better weapon for them until you're at the end of the game. Now let's get into content and length. This is a decently long RPG. I went through the game on the Earth difficulty and I reached and cleared the final boss after around 28 hours. After that, you can utilize the post-game dungeon hiding the Tri-Ace standard Gabriel Celeste super boss fight, or the newly added New Game Plus if you wish to replay while carrying over pretty much everything. Levels, skills, the list goes on. And if you're wondering, you can load a Reyna clear file to do New Game Plus as Claude. Now let's go to presentation. And things are great here, though it is a little bit weird at first. Visually, the environments were completely redone. Instead of the blurry pre-rendered backgrounds on the PlayStation and PSP, everything is 3D rendered and it all just looks incredible. The weird thing is their decision to include the original flat 2D sprites. It looks a little strange and sort of clashes with the beautiful 3D visuals. I got used to it after a while and still think the game looks great in that retro way. It's just a bit weird at first. And with performance, everything's perfect. A stable 30 FPS from start to finish, the load times are short, it's optimized really well. And that brings us to battery life. Star Ocean 2 gives the original and light models a range of about 3 to 4 hours, and the V2 and OLED models get around 6 to 8 hours. In conclusion, Star Ocean 2 returns to handhelds in a beautiful remake with lots of retained features and many interesting new ones. Now on the downside, the 2D sprites clash a little with the 3D environments at first, but if you like that retro look, this is a fantastic JRPG that anybody that enjoys fantasy and sci-fi mixed together should absolutely play through. Reviews to Go rates Star Ocean The Second Story R for the Nintendo Switch a 9 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.